And when one thinks of ghosts and the theater, one always thinks of older theater buildings like the Royal Alex or like the Grand Theatre in London or even Neptune Theatre in Halifax. One doesn't think of the newer buildings. But this building that I'm in right now, which is Theatre Aquarius in downtown Hamilton, Ontario, was built in 1992, and it has a ghost. I'm Ron Ulrich, I'm artistic director of this theater, and this is actually kind of a love story of a ghost. Peter Mandia came here in 1973 to found Theatre Aquarius. His dream from the time he arrived here was to have his own building. They used to work in the back of Hamilton Place in the little studio theater space there, and Peter fought for 20 years to get a theater built, a home for Theatre Aquarius, a place where the work could grow, develop, and turn into more than just a series of plays put on in a studio theater belonging to the city. And in 1992, he actually achieved that dream. This theater got built. He was in love with this theater, and for 2 years, he produced work here that was superb. All the work that Peter produced was superb, but for 2 years in this building, he was so darn happy. In 1994, the company had decided to do the Rez Sisters. It was a difficult play to do here. They were not sure how the audience would take it. And Peter was at home working on that play like a fiend. He wanted to get it dead right before he came in. Our production manager, Luigi Borgeson, who I think was technical director at that time, was sitting at the stage door one night. There's a little glass window right beside the stage door where you can see out, and if somebody comes into the foyer, coming through that door, you can buzz him, her, whoever, into the theater. And late one night, about midnight, Luigi was working there. Peter came in. Luigi looked up, saw him outside, buzzed him through, waved at Peter. Peter waved and smiled back. Peter came into the building. The door closed. About half an hour later, probably 12:30 at night, whatever it was, 12:30 in the morning, Luigi decided to leave, came into the building, looked around, couldn't find Peter, so thought, okay, he's gone. Went out himself, got home. When he arrived home, his phone was ringing. Bear in mind, this was long before the days of cell phones. His phone was ringing at home. He picked it up and he answered it. And it was two friends of Peter's, who were co-workers here at the theater, who, not having heard from Peter in a couple of days, had tried to contact him and say, hey, what's going on, man? And there was no answer. So they persuaded the landlord at Peter's apartment to open the door. They went in and they found Peter, and he was dead. And they discovered that he had died probably earlier that afternoon. Luigi told them the story of Peter being here, and they came racing back to the theater, all of them, to see what the heck was going on. Walked through the whole building, no one here. The building was empty. Luigi was the last one to leave, and he thought he'd just try the stage one more time. So he walked onto the stage, and he called out, sort of hoping and joking at the same time, hey, Peter, you here? And the chandelier behind me, up there in the ceiling, the chandelier just gently started to rock back and forth, back and forth. And Luigi smiled, knew that Peter was here, and went out of the building. Behind the stage, there's a long corridor. It links the wardrobe room to the office area, and it's a long, narrow, thin corridor that late at night is really rather scary to walk down. You walk back there at night and you go, oh my Lord, what's going on back here? And I've walked here many a night, worked here many a night, walked down that corridor, and as soon as I walk into it, I just say, Peter, and everything changes. The feeling becomes benign. And you walk through that corridor and you feel great. You come into the theater late at night, and just, if you're working late, you know that Peter's here looking after you. You say, good night, Peter, and the chandelier will do a little wave, and you leave the building. And you know that it's being looked after, because Peter is still here.